Hi guys, just want to talk to you today on day 3 about sugar and sweeteners and why we want you to take them out of your diet from today, how important it is. There are 3 things to think about here, and I'm not going to give you them all today. So what sugars and sweeteners do to the body, what sugars and flour and sweeteners do to the insatiable hunger that you get, this insatiable hunger, and we'll talk about that. And then the third one is about what they do to the brain and the food addiction side of things. So there's many reasons, but today I'm just going to talk to you about insulin, its role, the way that works, and how that is affected by sugar and by sweeteners. So sugar is the main source of energy in the brain, in the body. Our bodies are designed to seek out sweet foods and fatty foods, but mainly sweet foods, because they are the easiest and quickest form of energy that the body can use. And in Neanderthal man days, when we were running around in a loincloths, it was quite difficult to get enough energy to live. It was very rare that there were any fat stores on us. So what the basic problem here is that what happens is that our bodies are designed to love that sweet taste, because sweet berries, sweet fruit, etc., that we were living on most of the time was the very best source of energy. Now, we didn't have education to know that. It was just an innate thing. It was part of our biology that actually sent us the signals that, wow, that tastes lovely. Sweetness tastes amazing, because we needed that as our quickest form of energy. However, we don't live in that age now. We don't live in a situation where we don't have very much food. There is an abundance of food. Everywhere we go, we are surrounded by sweet hits everywhere. And in order to provide those, we are actually creating a very addictive drug. Talk about that in another video later. But we use things such as always come from natural sugar beet and sugar cane. Sometimes we use things like coconuts. Sometimes we can even get sugar from rice, and they express that. But the point is what we do is we take the product in its natural form, the way it was designed, and we extract the goodness from it. We grind it up and we make a highly processed white or sometimes brown granulated product or liquid. The thing about this is that you need about 2.5 to 3 feet of that sugar cane to produce 1 teaspoonful of sugar. That's a lot of sugar cane, and you wouldn't be able to eat that. It would be impossible to eat that amount of sugar cane. So you're actually providing that amazing hit of sweet taste, much more than you would in its natural form. What that does is it sends lots and lots of signals around the body, and particularly to the brain, to seek it out even more. But what I want to talk to you about today is what it actually does to our blood and how it can cause cravings in the body. So this is your blood. The back of this is your blood, the white. It's your blood. Here is your pancreas, which is what produces insulin. Most of us by now have heard of insulin. These are our fat cells. This is our muscle, the muscle in all of our body, including our heart, to help us to stay alive. We have all these muscles, and these muscles have to have glucose in order to survive and work. So we need a constant stream of these glucose molecules here going into our muscles. Okay, I'm just going to come out of this so I can just show you something, because I need to move these things around. So what happens is we have some sugar, I don't know, piece of cake, for example, and our body, our pancreas produces these insulin keys, these little insulin keys here that we can move around. And what these do, these are the keys that actually ask the muscle, can we bring some glucose in? And these little men here are the key receptors. So they are insulin receptors. And in order for the insulin to go into the muscle, these insulin receptors decide whether they need some glucose or not. So what happens is, if there's not enough glucose in that, we need something in our muscles to do something or to go for a run or whatever we might be doing, the insulin comes along to one of these little men and it goes and it knocks on the door. And this little man says, yeah, okay, we need some sugar, we need some glucose, that's fine, I'll move out of the way, and I'm going to let these sugar molecules come in because we need them in the muscle. And when it's had enough, it goes, nope, no more, thank you, don't bring me any more of that insulin because we don't need any more. And that all works fine and dandy, apart from when we flood the bloodstream with insulin with these highly sugared foods and flour, because flour does the same thing. So what happens then is we've got too much insulin because it sees the sugar and it goes, holy shit, loads of sugar, let's get loads of insulin because we need to get it and we need to regulate our blood sugars. We need a baseline of sugar in our system all the time. But our body, the insulin is there to try to keep that balanced. So if I have too much in, the insulin rushes in and it says, right, okay, I need to take that out of the bloodstream. The first point it calls, they'll go to the muscles and it'll say to these blokes, do you need some sugar? Do you need something for energy? And these will say yes or no. When they say no, it's still got to get the excess sugar out of the bloodstream. So what it does is the insulin drags it out and it puts it in the fat cells over here. So we get our fat cells get bigger because they're full of glucose. Basically, that's not exactly the way it is, but that's the idea. Okay. Hopefully you're with me so far. Now, that is a survival mechanism. We've had loads of berries. We're not going to get eaten for the next 5 days. We've got a little bit of fat storage. That's great. And then what happens is, as soon as we run out of glucose here, we then break down these fat cells and the glucose comes out and we use it for energy. And that's all fine. But when we have a rush of insulin, something that we've eaten something really, really sweet and we get loads of this insulin, what happens is we get too much insulin in our blood. So it rushes in really quickly and it drags all of these out of the blood, bungs it all in your fat cells because it's trying to regulate it. And because there's too much insulin, what happens then is we end up with a depletion of insulin, of glucose. So we have low blood sugar, we call it reactive hyperglycemia. And then what happens is it sends cravings and signals to our brain to say, you didn't eat that chocolate cake 20 minutes ago. You need to eat some more. So we eat some more. In comes all this glucose again, and even more insulin's produced. And of course, we're not gone anywhere apart from eating the chocolate cakes. We don't need any in our muscles. So the insulin's going, let me in. And these knocking away, and these little men are going, no, we don't need any. We don't need any more. and then it keeps throwing them into the fat cells. Now, eventually, it will let some into the muscles, and these guys will go, oh God, stop knocking on the door, that's fine. What happens when it does that is these guys don't react the same. They don't actually open the door as often. They get tired. So they actually get what we call insulin resistance. So they get resistant to these keys and they say, I just don't want to answer that. Oh God, I'm too tired. Stop bothering me. Go away. So even when we do need the glucose, what happens is that we get this insulin resistance. So we're not actually reacting to the insulin. And this is where type 2 diabetes comes from. So you can see why when we have those massive hits of sugar that are coming from those highly processed, unnatural sources, that we are setting ourselves up for fat storing rather than fat burning. And also for those cravings, because the insulin is dragging all that glucose out of the bloodstream and it's saying, I can't cope with this. I need more, I need more, I need more, because you've just not actually eaten that chocolate cake. That's what your bloodstream thinks, because it's got rid of all the glucose and it's asking for more. And that's what causes those massive cravings when we've eaten, say, 2 biscuits and 20 minutes later, we're like, God, I need another one. God, I need another one. One of the reasons. The other one is food addiction, but this is the physiological reason in the body. Okay, let me go back to the, excuse me for this. So where do we get our natural sugars from? Get them from fruit, milk and dairy products, vegetables, pulses, grains, nuts, seeds, rice, root vegetables, and honey is a very natural form of sugar, although in the reboot, and for some of you beyond the reboot for quite a lot of time longer, I would stay away from honey completely because it's too sweet and it will affect the dopamine centers, which is the other part of the craving control, not just the bodily craving. Okay, so no honey. Unnatural sugars, you've got a list of these in your pack. Look for them on the back of food labels, because manufacturers are absolute masters of disguising sugar, because they know it makes things taste sweet. They know that your body naturally seeks out that sugar taste. So they throw it into all these processed foods so that we want more and more and more of it, and they sell more and more. It's a marketing ploy. But it's killing us. The more sugar we have, the more we are poisoning our bodies, because our body can't cope with these high hits of sugar. It knows how to cope with the natural sugars, but it does not know how to cope with these. And we're systemically poisoning our body by eating all of these in great amounts. So let's have a quick look at sweeteners. So sweeteners have a very similar, if not worse, effect on our blood sugars than sugar. So there was an experiment called the Coke versus Diet Coke experiment. It took a group of children in America, and it gave some of them Coke and some of them Diet Coke. And I think it was for a period of about a month. I can't remember the exact times, but the idea is that at the end of this period, the guys that had had the Coke actually lost weight, or they didn't gain as much weight as the guys that had had the Diet Coke, even though the Diet Coke had 0 calories and the Coke had about 300 calories per tin. Now, why? Why was that? Okay, so let's go back to our bloodstream again and our pancreas. So come out of here, whoops, and go back to it where we were before. Stick our pancreas up here a little bit. And exactly the same thing. So we throw some sweetener into our blood system. Okay, sweet hit, no glucose. So we ain't got any of these guys in. So I'm just going to grab hold of these now and get rid of them because we've got no glucose, but we've got a sweet hit. So our insulin, our body sees that sweet hit and it sends loads of insulin to go, let's find those glucoses. Where's the glucose coming from? What's going on here? And it can't find any. And it goes, there's something seriously wrong here, guys. We've got no glucose. I can't pull that glucose out for the muscles. There's something really wrong. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I got the wrong signal. Tell you what, let's send some signals to the brain to go and eat some more sugar because we need that glucose. So the brain goes, sends signals, and we go, and maybe we have another Diet Coke. Because you know what, we get those cravings and we think, well, if I Diet Coke, I'll get rid of that craving. I'll get rid of that craving because it's got no sugar in it and it's fine. It's not going to put weight on. The problem is exactly the same thing happens. So even more insulin's coming along going, where the hell is this sugar? I can't find it and I need it and I can't find it. So we've got so much insulin running around our system and we've got these massive hits of signals going to our brain saying, eat, 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 eat. So what happens is that the people that are having the sweeteners, even though there's 0 calories in the sweeteners, are going out and they're feeling hungry all the time. And then eventually they give into the other food and they eat in a day more other food than the sweetness than they would have done if they'd have had the actual full fat Coke. The other problem is when the other food comes in and they eventually give into the biscuit, there's so much insulin running around the system that glucose comes back in and boy, that insulin goes, yay, eureka, and it throws it straight into the fat cells. It goes on high alert. And that insulin resistance with these boys getting tired and tired and tired happens much quicker. So actually sweeteners are in lots of ways worse than sugar. And the other thing they are is this what they call compensation effect. I can have, insert the blank, a piece of chocolate or a packet of crisps or a Cornish pasty, or whatever it is, because I've had Diet Coke all day and I've had no calories. So we compensate for that by allowing ourselves other food. So those are the 2 reasons. So on this plan, there are 3 approved sweeteners. And after the days of shakes and soups, I want you even to take these out unless they're in very small amounts, because they can still cause dopamine spikes in the brain because of that sweet hit that we're looking for. We have erythritol, and this is what one of them looks like. If you're looking for it on the shelves, you can get most of these 3 in most supermarkets. You can definitely get them on Amazon and Holland and Barrett and other places. You've got xylitol and stevia. And sometimes there are some products like sucrin that's got a mixture of them both, but that's fine. These ones do not have the same amount of effect as some of the others like sucralose and aspartame, which are really not good for us at all. So I hope that you enjoyed that little masterclass on sweeteners and sugars. I will be coming back tomorrow to be doing a masterclass for you on flour and also insatiable hunger, so that you understand where that hunger is that you just, I'm just eating a meal and I don't know why, but I'm really hungry. So I'll be talking to you about that tomorrow. Take care.